I'm your host, Dr. Anthony Rafferty, medical doctor, PhD, acupuncturist, and intuitive energetic healer. Welcome to the Intuitive Health Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Anthony Rafferty, and I'm a shamanic healer trained in Western medicine and acupuncture. And I'm here to bring you on a journey of holistic healing that explores the science of the physical body combined with mental and emotional well-being, energetic and spiritual health. My loves, it has been a minute. I have taken a little bit of time off recording the podcast, and I've had so many people contacting me saying, Tony, when are you getting back into the swing of things? But around the time I started channeling through the messages and was receiving deep energetic downloads about the Great Awakening Oracle deck, which I'm going to talk to you guys today about, I realized that although I absolutely love this podcast, I adore being able to share wisdom with you guys, and I learn so much from the feedback that I get off everybody along the journey. But I did realize when something new started to come in that actually I needed to create space for that to fully land so that I could actually channel through what I was here to be a channel for. So I took my own advice, which I usually give to my clients, which was to actually just take a little bit of a break. I was starting to feel a little bit burnt out from trying to juggle the private practice, all of the online sessions and the group work that I was doing alongside the podcast, all of the social media platforms. And of course, then this beautiful transmission came through of the Oracle deck. So I really sat and I asked my guides, I sat in deep meditation, thought to myself, how am I going to actually juggle all of this? And the message was very clear. Tony, channel your energy into very specific things because, if you're spreading yourself too thin, if you're spreading your energy too thin, the full weight of the energetic transmission of what you're trying to communicate to people and allow to move through you, it will be diluted. So I took that advice and I just took a little bit of a pause on the podcast in order to fully birth the Great Awakening Oracle deck. And that is what I want to talk to you guys about today. I'm going to talk to you all about why it came through, the relevance of all the different aspects of it, and how it can support you on your journey of spiritual awakening. So I was beginning to get messages about potentially creating a deck, I'd say a good year ago, but I literally just kept saying, there isn't space right now. There isn't space right now. I was saying this to my guides and I was like, I need to just focus on all the other things, all the other balls that I'm juggling at the moment. And if you are like me, like I'm quite busy on the day to day, I do create space to do my mantra practice, my meditations, to do my shamanic journeys every week. But when I actually take chunks of space, and I mean a couple of days or a couple of weeks, the transmissions and the information that move through me, it's wild. And Becky always dreads when I go away because as soon as I sit onto a plane, I don't know what it is about planes. For a couple of hours, I have to bring a journal with me because information just streams through my body about the next steps, about retreat ideas, about things that I'm here to share with the world. So I essentially took a couple of weeks off last August, September time to go to Corfu just to sit in the sunshine. Little did I know, this is when the full weight of the Oracle deck was going to move through my body. It started the night before when I was doing my meditation to just clear my mind and clear my energy after a really couple of busy weeks at work. And in my mind, I could see an oracle card with a wolf on the front of it. And it was spectacular. Now, the wolf is one of my main power animals that I use in my own journeys, that I use for my healing sessions with my clients. And I've spoken into power animals previously in the podcast episodes. But Martha, she's my wolf, and she was so beautiful, like radiant on the front of this card. And I was like, what is my wolf power animal doing on the front of an oracle card? And they were like, my guide said, Tony, it's time. It's time to bring it through. So I just said, do you know what? I'm going away for the next couple of weeks. Give me the information that I need. And that was it. It kicked off. And it was like a torrent of information that moved through my body when I created the space to receive it. Just a lovely reminder that, when you're connected to spirit, when you're connected to your guides, when you're connected to your intuition, we need to create space. We actually have to create that space to fully allow the energy to land with these things. So I had packed my little notebook because I knew something was coming, and I jetted off to Corfu. And by the time I got there, I'd say I had half of a booklet written already with all of the themes. Now, it was really, really intriguing because when I first landed in Corfu, the first morning that I kind of had a bit of a sleep and I sat into my meditation, I could just hear the words, the Great Awakening. And it just was being repeated through my mind. Now, the thing is, when I sit in clinical practice with people, I know that there's a great awakening undertaking globally at the moment. There are so many people awakening to their intuition, their gifts, their clairsenses, their power. And we are literally on this precipice of huge energetic change. And you can see it in the world. You can very likely, if you're listening to this podcast, you feel it in your body. And I do think that we are here in these moments as beings of light to really awaken to our natural gifts, our abilities, the full and truest essence of our soul. What we are here to do, it is time to allow that to awaken and to bring those gifts forward. We are part of a huge energetic shift that's happening globally at the moment for the greatest good of ourselves, of our families, our friends, of humanity. And you can see that as more light awakens within every individual soul, of course, it's going to highlight and reflect the darkness that exists within others. So you can see this globally. There is just huge divergence arising within people. And I think there is just so much stuff being brought to the surface as a byproduct of this awakening. Because keeping in mind, and one thing that actually drives me a bit insane with kind of the spiritual and wellness culture is this kind of focus on, love and light, love and light. However, the greatest way and the quickest way that we can actually expand ourselves to hold more light is actually to descend into our shadow and to understand the parts of ourselves that we've villainized, because these will be reflected back in our world around us, and to actually retrieve those parts of ourselves that we've shunned or potentially been told that we should shun. And the ancestral world that exists within us through projection and transmission through the lineages. And we all hold a connection to the collective within our souls. So by understanding the demons and the shadows that exist within us, we get a much deeper understanding of ourselves and the world. And I think as more and more people are doing this work, the collective is shifting. The collective energy is shifting. More darkness and shadow and the demons of the world around us are being revealed. So I do think that this is really, really important work. It is not for the faint of heart, but it really will bring about such huge, huge awareness and transformation internally. So that is essentially referred to in Quechua, or the Andean language, as the time of Pachakuti. And Pachakuti was also an Incan ruler who transformed civilizations during the time of his reign. And this time of Pachakuti literally refers to the turning of the world. And I really think that we're in that time right now, this period of great awakening, this time of Pachakuti. And that is essentially what marks the journey through the deck. That is the theme that came through on that first morning of connecting in, anchoring in to the energy of the deck. That is what came through. It needed to be called the Great Awakening. And I had my first card. It was the wolf. So basically, I sat into that. And when I asked my guides, I was like, what needs to come through here? What messages need to come through? What wisdom do you want to move through me? And what is going to be in each of the different cards? Because I was a bit stumped at that point as to what they wanted me to share. So essentially, I was given some really beautiful imagery, really, really beautiful imagery of dragons, of serpents eating their own tail. And, I was told to weave this through the energetics and the imagery of the deck and the cards. So, I really sat and got a lot of that information before I even embarked on the journey with each of the individual cards. And I want to speak into it a little bit. So, essentially, on the cover of the deck is a white dragon. Now, the white dragon is also one of my main guides. And, the white dragon actually appears across Eastern and Western traditions as a symbol of primordial power and of transformation. And I love the essence of what the white dragon kind of communicates. The color white is also known kind of, or to be associated with purity and clarity and new beginnings, almost like on the very cover of this box the white dragon represents a divine threshold that you are about to cross. So I was called to put the white dragon on the front of the box as a signal to every single person that picked up this deck that something is happening. This is an initiation. This deck is an initiation into the time of Pachakuti, into the Great Awakening. And I wanted that to actually be symbolized through the energy that people feel when they actually look at the white dragon on the deck. And when you get your deck, you'll be able to see that the white dragon is rising through each of these orbs of different colored rainbow light. And each of the orbs represents a chakra. So obviously moving from the base up to the crown chakra, the white dragon is weaving its way through. It's almost like bringing about kind of initiation and awakening through each of these chakras as it ascends up through the body. Now, I also loved the nod that the white dragon rising through the chakras gave to the Kundalini energy. And I've recorded a pod on this because I specifically just want to talk about Kundalini. I'm seeing so many practitioners, and I'm seeing the fallout of some of the Kundalini practices when people come to have it healed here in my practice. So I really want to speak into the energetics of Kundalini at a future time, but essentially it's this innate life force energy that exists at the base of the spine. And it's depicted or talked about like a serpent that's coiled at the base of the spine, and it's just awaiting to awaken and to rise through all of your chakras, essentially piercing the crown chakra and connecting us to the cosmic egg, or this kind of like journey of kind of piercing through the current reality to connect us to something bigger, the cosmos. It's also in kind of Hindu traditions believed to be associated with the rising of the divine feminine that rises to meet the crown energy, which is the divine masculine, and then this beautiful union of energies occurs. So I'll speak into that in a future pod. But the white dragon really represented such transformation for me, and that's why I really loved it for the front of the deck. I was also given a message by my guides to include something called Ouroboros on the back of the deck. So the Ouroboros is also a serpent, because I love this kind of connection to serpentine energy. And the serpent is a representation of the divine feminine as well, which I work so heavily with. So I really loved all of this imagery that came through my mind. But essentially, the Ouroboros is a serpent that's eating its own tail, and it's one of the oldest symbols that we are aware of. And, it appears in ancient Egyptian iconography, in alchemical traditions, and in Norse mythology. And essentially, it represents the eternal cycle. So that's exactly what it is. It's the cycle, the serpent eating its own tail. It symbolizes death and rebirth. But what I really, really love about it, and what I really wanted to embody or to energetically imprint in the back of each card, were that. Is essentially that endings represent new beginnings, you know? So endings are beginnings. This is the serpent eating its own tail, you know. So it almost kind of ties into this concept that there's this beautiful self-renewing nature that exists within all of us, and I just really, really love the energetics of the white dragon and the Ouroboros on the back. And you know, I was really called to make that the Ouroboros this emerald green color. And you know, for me, emerald green is associated with the Archangel Raphael, and you know, this kind of cosmic energy of healing. And I really wanted that to be kind of imprinted and embodied within each of the cards. So that was a lot to do with the design of the cards. And that was just the basic architecture. I had the name of the deck, the reasons as to why it was important this beautiful time at Pachakuti. I had the box cover with the white dragon, and I had the Ouroboros on the back of each card. I also had the first card, the beautiful wolf, my guide Marta, the collective energy of wolves as this beautiful guiding principle for the card. I just love it because, you know, when I connect in with the energetics of the wolf, and I work with my guide Martha, you know, she represents the lone wolf, which is within all of us in many, many ways, the journey to sovereignty. And, you know, I really felt like a lone wolf on this journey with these oracle cards about this authentic expression of something that wanted to move through me, this piece of divine, like a divinely inspired work. And I felt like I was really walking the solitary path as I brought it through. So the lone wolf guiding me on this journey. But I also really love the essence of the wolf as a pack animal. So this kind of dual nature of this journey of sovereignty and bringing something through as on a kind of solo journey, but also this journey with the wolf as a pack, and this kind of concept or theory of kind of bringing the pack together, finding other soul mates and soul friends that are here to actually form communities to help with this great awakening. And you know, as we awaken to the light within us, we touch so many other people that then go on to touch other people. So it's almost like this collective pack emergence of light, which I really, really loved as well. So it was a beautiful, beautiful starting point. So after I sat into all of these really exciting elements of the deck, I essentially asked my guides what needed to come through for the deck. And I was told that I needed to birth four different realms. Now, this is really, really interesting because usually within kind of traditional cosmology, and within the shamanic kind of teachings that I learned through the Mooney Kai rites that I received, there are three realms of existence that generally people walk through in order to awaken and to heal. And, you know, in shamanic traditions and many cultures around the world, we kind of refer to these three realms as the lower realm, the middle realm, and the upper realm. Now, these are not necessarily physical places, but they're layers of consciousness that our soul can journey through in order to heal and awaken and remember who we are in the truest essence of what our soul is, you know. And this is found across so many different cultures and traditions. And you know, I really had spent so many years working within this kind of infrastructure, so I was intrigued to know why the guides wanted me to bring through a fourth realm. And, you know, they called for me to call in specifically the earth realm, in addition to the lower realm, the middle realm, and the upper realm. And I'm going to speak into each of those four realms, particularly this earth realm, in order to give you a bit of a flavor as to why these were so important in the architecture of the cards. Because I really wanted this transmission to be something that helps people ascend, that helps people remember who they are, to be a tool within your great awakening. And in order to do that, we have to traverse the different realms. So let's kick it off with an exploration of the lower realm. So, not to be confused with the underworld, which is a very different kind of concept. This is a realm that is believed to be the place in which we hold our shadow. So, this is the place where we go, we explore our shadow. It's where illusion dies and truth is ultimately revealed to us. Because keeping in mind, we are programmed by our families, by society, by the collective to think and act a certain way. And that's all shadow. It's all projection. It's all a way in which we feel accepted by showing up in a certain way in which society deems to be normal. And there's a certain level of control that that kind of greater, broader thinking has over us, because it also comes with a huge amount of fear. And what does fear do? Fear controls. It controls our decision making, and it can control whole societies. It's actually quite wild. So, when we can begin to actually really explore these shadows and these projections and this illusion, we begin to see through it. We begin to see the true nature of reality and the truth about what our soul is here to do and how we're here to show up. This realm also holds ancestral patterning, and that might look like suppressed emotion, or these kind of deep traumas that were experienced by people within our lineages, but never actually expressed or felt in any way. And of course, when we step forward to do this work, we often feel things to heal things within our own life and within our lineage for our ancestors, on behalf of our ancestors. Now, this lower realm also holds the fragmented or the denied parts of ourselves. And maybe we have learned on our journey that parts of ourselves are unacceptable. Maybe that has been inherited through our lineage, or maybe it has been conditioned into us. And I have to tell you, like, one of the most rewarding practices that I have as a healer, and something that I really love to work with, is to help people explore shame. And for people that have grown up in Ireland, that have ancestral history in Ireland, this is so deeply rooted within us through patriarchy, through the teachings of the Catholic Church, which separated us out from spirituality, and the deeper esoteric understanding of the light that these ascended masters actually wanted to communicate. It's such a shame, but it has caused deeply, deeply forged and deeply rooted wounding that many, many of us walk through. The suppression, the oppression of women, you know this journey with the LGBTQ plus community, and men, this kind of like stunting and shame associated with their emotions. We have all been touched by this. So in order to kind of delve deep into the lower realms, we can really begin to understand ourselves and society and the collective, and this kind of journey, especially in Ireland, with these energies and how they've deeply impacted us. So I just want to highlight the lower realm. It's not a frightening place. It's actually a really, really necessary place that we need to go to understand ourselves, to understand why we are the way we are, and to look at it in a really non-judgmental way. So generally what I do is I journey to that realm myself. I bring my clients to that space during the shamanic work that I do here. And when we kind of move into that space, explore this kind of shadowy, sticky feeling we hold inside, we can actually understand it. We can bring light to it. We can shed light and understanding on those kind of conditioned patterns within us. And we can retrieve parts of our soul that we may have lost. I always say to people, and one of the main things that I do and practice a lot of the time is something called soul retrieval. And, that is essentially an antidote for soul loss. Now, the human journey can be so, so painful. And I think some of us have such soft and beautiful and sensitive souls that actually sometimes when we experience some of these human tragedies, whether that's a capital T trauma or even for many, it's a small t trauma or a small t trauma that happens repeatedly throughout their lives. How someone spoke to you, these kind of experiences in which our soul just felt the human experience was too much and a little part of our soul left the body. However, that makes us feel whole. It makes us feel incomplete. We're not whole when little parts of our soul decide to leave. So we become seekers. We go out there always feeling like there's a part of us that's missing. We're never quite happy. So, what the shaman does is we go into those experiences, we sit with you, we talk to you about those times in which soul loss occurred, and then we journey through energy work, through shamanic drumming, into the lower realm, and we retrieve those soul parts and put them back in your body. And that's called soul retrieval. And in order to do that, we've to descend into the lower realm to really understand what exactly it is you have experienced, the shadow of that. So I really like to ask people, if you're avoiding exploring your shadow side and going into those lower realms of your existence, why are you doing that? Why are you avoiding the descent? Is there something that you've been unwilling to look at that could potentially unlock a part of your soul that you didn't know even existed? So there's essentially 11 cards in the deck that are dedicated to the lower realm, that are dedicated to helping you explore your shadow. And I absolutely just think it's so necessary for this journey of spiritual awakening that we do the descent and begin to understand ourselves and others so much more. Now, the second realm that I want to speak about is the earth realm. And this is what came through as the new edition. And I have essentially added this to the existing other three realms that are commonly referred to. And, my guides were very, very specific about that. They were like, you need to birth this new realm into existence with this deck. Because, so many people at the moment on a spiritual journey, they're avoiding the lower realm. They're seeking ascension to just be in this space of light. However, they are completely ignoring the very land that they are standing on. And, they've never really truly touched the medicine that Mother Earth actually holds. And that's mind boggling to me because I really truly think that, the journey of the soul is so beautiful. We live so many lives. We come into these physical bodies for these fleeting lifetimes, and they're fleeting in the grand scheme of things because we are eternal souls. These lifetimes are just little flickers of our entire soul existence. And one of the gifts, though, that we receive with being in a human body is the ability to live human lives, to touch, to have conversations, to make love, to enjoy good food, to, have the beauty of this human experience and the pleasures that come with this. Our ability to be in nature and to realize that actually heaven already exists on earth, in the flowers, in the bees, in the birds. All of these things are representations of spirit, of the divine, that people overlook on their journey of ascension and, increasing their vibration and frequency. I'm totally in love with like speaking to spirits all day long and getting messages to support people on their healing journey. But we have to remember that we are here to live the human experience. We are here to have our feet on the earth, to actually be fully embodied in this journey as a soul, in this human body, on the land that has been gifted to us. So, this realm is all about essentially coming back to the body, returning to the land, returning to the plants and the animals that live here, returning to the wisdom of the land and what it can teach us. The medicine of the animals and the herbs. We have been gifted with medicine on our doorstep, yet we turn to pharmaceuticals, synthetic drugs. We think that's the only way to heal. We go to doctors, just like myself, that are essentially just prescription pads. We've lost touch with the physiology of the body. We have lost touch with understanding what the body wants by asking it what it wants. And, how can we actually heal in connection to Mother Earth, in connection to the Earth realm? So that is why I brought this realm into existence on behalf of my guides. And there are 11 beautiful cards in this deck that will deeply connect you to the Earth realm and the transmissions and the energetic frequencies and vibrations that are desperately wanting to come through to you. It will help you to reconnect with Mother Earth, and to recognize, our connection to Mother Earth shouldn't come at a cost for spiritual ascension. It actually should be included in that journey. We need to include our connection to the Earth realm on this journey of evolution. So that is the second realm. We go deep into our lower realm to descend, to understand our shadow. We then embody those understandings and teachings. We fully ground into our body and we connect with the medicine that is actually all around us. Mother Earth has gifted us with everything that we need. I then want to speak into the third realm, which is the middle realm. Now, this is the realm in traditional teachings in which we go on a journey of integration. So it's where we actually retrieve all of our insights from the lower realm and from the upper realm, and we integrate it. We integrate it into this lived, human, real experience. And this is probably the hardest realm for most people. Some people get very addicted to exploring their shadows and they can get trapped in that shadow space, forgetting that there is light and magic all around us in the earth realm. And also the journey to the upper realm, in which we can connect with ascended masters and a different type of vibrational energy. So actually integrating the work that we do, that's the key. That is why we're here, to be humans on this human journey, whatever sticky story that may entail. So I think to really be able to integrate in the middle realm, that is the key to success. That is why we do the journeys into the other realms. It's to get the wisdom. And then on a Monday morning, when you get up for work, when you're off, stuck in traffic, and, having a bit of a shitty day, can you actually choose to live differently based on the insights or the wisdom that you've gained from understanding your shadow, from connecting with Mother Earth, and from exploring our connection to spirit in the upper realm? Can you choose to live differently? Can you choose, with the teachings that you've learned in the other realms, to approach relationships differently, to make different daily choices? Can you choose to be of service in a different way? This is really the essence of how we show up in the world. This is what this middle realm actually allows us to do. It allows us to integrate and to try and be a better person. So, you can go and do every bloody plant medicine. You can sit in sacred ceremony and meditate by yourself on silent retreat till the cows come home. But can you bring those teachings and that wisdom and that insight you've learned back into the middle realm? Can you integrate it and actually approach your day to day as a human in this world, living the human experience in a different way that serves you and the collective for the greatest good. So I have 11 cards in this deck associated with the middle realm that will teach you how to integrate. Finally, I just want to speak into the upper realm. And this is the place of ascension. This is where we get expanded awareness. And usually, I tend to find that when we journey to this space, the frequency and the vibration in the upper realm, it is literally blissful. It's so beautiful. And it's usually where illusion and our sense of separation tends to dissolve. We realize that we are one. We are one with spirit, with God, with the divine. We are one with every single other living thing on this beautiful earth. It really, really brings about a beautiful sense of unity for people, I tend to find. I always love working in the upper realm because we can connect with our higher self. It gives us clarity and alignment. It allows us to kind of connect with our destiny and really feel into what our soul's purpose is. And usually in this upper realm, we can connect with like celestial beings. We can connect with angels and archangels. We can connect with ascended masters. We can connect with souls that have kind of moved onto different levels of existence. And I just love the energy of this space. And because the energy is so beautiful in that realm, that's why people tend to bypass the hard work. They bypass the lower realm, They'd rather sit on their phone than looking at the tree that is literally touched by the light of the divine right outside their window, you know? And then to be able to integrate these teachings, it's tricky, it's hard. I totally get it. But this is why we see spiritual bypassing, for people to just connect in to the upper realm. But hopefully you're getting an idea now from what I'm expressing to you guys, that this realm is only one piece of the puzzle. And I really think that actually it is a beautiful, beautiful place to journey with. But you'll notice I've introduced the other three realms first. This is the final destination of where we end up. We end up in that state of peace. We end up with these blissful moments of connection after we have done the work in the other three realms. This space is not necessarily the starting point. It's the end point. It's where we can strive to be. And yes, we can ascend and connect with the power and the light and open ourselves up to all of our clear senses. But it's so important that we visit the other three realms on the journey to get to this space. So I just want to ask you, have you been trying to ascend, to just connect in with the upper realm, without actually descending into the shadow, connecting with the earth realm, integrating what we're learning, because I think it's so important to go on this spiral journey, going deep into ourselves to learn, to expand, and that will ultimately lead to ascension. So they are the four realms. I've included another 11 cards in this deck associated with the upper realm, and you will connect and receive energetic wisdom and messages from the most beautiful ascended masters and power animals and archangels within the upper realm. So they are the four realms, my loves. They are the four realms. Now, I just want to speak into the different cards. So it's a 44 card deck, and I was basically guided to work with different ascended masters, different kind of archetypes from shamanic practice, different teachings, and different power animals to essentially bring this kind of a shamanic oracle that unites all different types of spiritual teachings together in a beautiful blended way to give you a roadmap or a blueprint to kind of the spiral of ascension, essentially. Now, it's quite amazing because a lot of these kind of archetypes or guides that came through, they were people that, or energies that have supported me on my journey of ascension. And I've done attunements to some of the energetics of these guides. And essentially, what I brought through for each of these cards, I sat in deep shamanic journey, in deep shamanic ceremony, and I brought through energy transmissions. I brought through activations by just seeing the image, connecting with the energy of the card, and actually reading the message. So each card carries not just a message, but an energetic transmission that I hope will help you to evolve in so many ways. Now, on the back of each card is also a QR code. So if you scan that with your phone, it will connect you to an online private portal on my website. So you can actually just read the message from the guide, and you can really feel the energetic transmission that comes through. So you can either do that on your phone using the QR code to access the online portal, or you can, like many other Oracle card decks, you can use the guidebook. So the guidebook has its beautiful full color guidebook, very easy to navigate. And essentially, that also has the wisdom and the teachings. It also has a beautiful introduction to the cards. I've included two different card spreads that you can choose from to gain wisdom and insight from the deck. So you can either connect with the messages with the guidebook or in the portal. In the portal, I've also included a guided meditation in which you can actually attune yourself to the deck. So I bring people through an energy attunement so that basically you have called in the light of each of the different guides within this deck, so that when you pull each card, it is directly meant to communicate something for you on that day. So that exists within the portal. So regardless of whether you choose to use the portal to read your card every day, I definitely jump on there when you get your deck and do the attunement that is in the QR or in the portal for you to do. So, generally speaking, that is the deck in a nutshell. I'm so proud of what has been created. And, there's been a few key times in my life where I've really connected in with spirit and allowed everything to just move through me. And when I saw the proofs of this, I have to tell you, I cannot believe I birthed this out into the world, because I looked at this and I thought to myself, this is not me. Like, this has moved through me. This has been divinely inspired. And I was brought to tears seeing the first deck when it arrived through, because I thought, wow, when we connect with spirit and gives ourselves space to allow these divine transmissions to come through, isn't it just what isn't it just so powerful what we can create in the world? I just think it is amazing. So essentially, we are in a pre order period at the moment, and that finishes on Friday, June 19th. And if you go on and pre order your deck, you can do it on my website, which is dranthonyrafferty.com. It's just DRANTHONY or AFFEORTY.com, dranthonyrafferty.com. You can pop on and pre order it there. Or if you're on Instagram, there's a link in my bio directly to the purchase. Essentially, if you get a pre-order in before next June 19th, you will also receive a golden ticket to my launch event. So you will get free entry to my launch event, which will be in July. It's the Oracle Card launch event. And essentially, there will be a couple of hours when we will gather. I will bring you into each of the realms. We'll do some card pulls so that you can connect with the energies of specific cards. And I'm going to do a channeled guided healing at the event. It's going to be in person. It's in Dublin City Centre. We have the venue and the date, but I'm not announcing it until the pre-sale ends next June 19th on Friday. So get yourself a pre-order so that you can get a golden ticket to come along to that launch event and be there in person with me to celebrate the birth of this beautiful deck into the world. So that basically wraps up our journey with the Great Awakening Oracle deck. So if this episode has stirred something inside you, the deck is already working within you. So just trust that. trust that you're being called to work with the energy within it. And just remember, if you want to be in the room with me for the live launch event, when we fully birth the energy of this Great Awakening Oracle into existence, make sure to get your pre-ordered deck into me by next Friday, June 19th. So, thank you so much, my loves, for taking the time to sit and listen as I speak about the medicine that has been brought through, about this time of Pachakuti, about this journey of the great awakening that is existing and occurring within the collective, that's occurring within your soul. Thank you for letting me explain to you about the descent, the return to Mother Earth, the integration that's required, and our journey with ascension on the spiral path that we are on. You know, these cards hold beautiful channeled wisdom, and I'm so excited for you to meet them directly on your journey, you know. So basically, if you have any questions about the deck, please get in touch. But jump on, get your pre-order in before Friday, June 19th, and come and be with me in person at the live event. And yes, I'm just sending so much love to you guys. Connect in with the new website, dranthonyrafferty.com. Connect in with us if you have any questions on Instagram and TikTok. It's Dr. Anthony Rafferty. We also have a new YouTube channel. We're putting a lot of beautiful meditations, guided meditations up there. And that is Dr. Anthony Rafferty on YouTube as well. We also had the launch of our new website, which has loads of beautiful little teachings up there. You can book your one-to-one consultations with me, follow along with our newsletters, and also I have launched a wonderful new blog in which I'm journaling and writing everything down about the shamanic journeys that I'm doing, the visions of what I'm seeing, connecting with the Irish land, this kind of path I'm on at the moment with connecting in with reawakening my druidic medicine. So it's all really powerful. Check it all out. And I'm sending so much love from my heart to yours, Dr. Anthony.